Josh, Destiny 1.03 patch came out today. Huge laundry list of items. A lot of kind of just smaller changes, nothing huge or impacting. A lot of aesthetic changes, HUD changes, UI changes. What are the big ones for you?
I thought they did a lot of cool things maybe people didn't specifically ask for. Things like when you enter a level, now it's not going to continuously unpause you if you're checking out your inventory. Little annoying things like that. But a big one is voice chat now. With strangers, you can manually opt in, and that makes it easier to do that with strikes and stuff. And then combined with easier scaling for Nightfall, I feel like now it's time to add matchmaking for Nightfall.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you bring that up, that they've kind of come out and said, Nightfalls, they're not going to be as easy solo, because I guess everyone was soloing them in the past. Also because, like you said, there's no matchmaking. Now it's going to scale a little bit better when you actually have a team. In the past where I was like, Sean, get out of my Nightfall, or Josh, get out of my Nightfall right now. You guys are making it exponentially harder for me.
Yeah, it's over twice as much damage for a lot of enemies, so it makes it a lot tougher. But if they can pull off matchmaking with Nightfall, maybe it's paving the way for matchmaking with raids, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, that's the bigger one. We'll have to see. They haven't really talked too much about that one, but maybe, like you said, maybe it paves the way for that. It's interesting with the voice chat because you can toggle it on left or right with the directional pad when you get in there. I think I was trying it just now for our news video where, I was hitting fire, there's fire team chat, and then there's also the strike chat, which I would assume would also be in Crucible, but it's like, okay, I turned it on, I'm like, hey guys, how do you like Destiny? I was just joking around with them, can you guys hear me? No, they can't. Spin around in a circle if you can hear me. It's like, nope, they didn't hear me.
And now that everyone's used to not talking through the strikes, people figured out, you just run to the end, you run through it as fast as you can. At this point, it's almost too late with the strikes. You don't need to talk. People have figured out how to beat it without any communication.
All your materials now, they all look different. Like the spin metal and the spirit bloom, they're different color.
The helium coils.
Yeah, the helium coils, they look totally different. In addition, your melee and your grenade, they're totally different. It's a blue instead of a clear kind of grayish color. Now you know oh, I have a grenade. Oh, I have melee. I guess also too, another cool thing they finally added is Eva Levante. She finally decided to be I'm gonna sell more than just these 4 boring shaders I sell all the time. For me, the first time I was oh, Thunder Devil, I'm freaking played 400 hours. I still don't have Thunder Devil.
Yeah.
And then she finally sells it, and it's then I find it. But that was just that's just how Destiny is, right? But I mean, those kind of things are cool. So she's gonna start selling shaders that you could only get kind of from RNGesus. I didn't have any of the shaders. I know some of you guys had that weird number one and Thunder Devil, but that's cool.
I feel like that had to be one of the most requested features is ways to get shaders, because I mean, once you reach a certain point, you get gear so rarely that it's really the only way to differentiate yourself. So more variety there is obviously a popular request.
Yeah, I mean, but now let's build upon that and make it so that your factions actually, you can actually get the shader at a certain level. Because I've been doing grinding Dead Orbit to 11 now, and I still don't have any of the shaders that they have to offer, which is kind of BS in my opinion.
But on the other hand, you probably have 35 Chatter Whites. So it's they need to find the balance there.
Yeah, pretty much. A lot of the multiplayer maps pretty much got changes in terms of okay, there's kind of cheaper spots on the map that maybe someone can't see, but then they can see everyone, so they've kind of balanced some of that. And I think they also changed one of the control points for Blind Watch. We'll see how that works out. But the bigger one is the revamp of Iron Banner. It's coming back. You can actually rep up to level 5 now, and on top of that, you can get your level 30 gloves. And a boot, so that you can, it's their way of saying, hey, the DLC is coming out soon. Why don't you get some gear for that to get the 30 faster? Because some people like yourself, you're having problems still doing the raid and getting your gear.
I don't play too much Crucible except for when I have to because of an exotic bounty or something, like Thorn. Speaking of which, apparently they accidentally nerfed Thorn, which is kind of more salt in the wound because they said they're going to buff it so long ago and haven't really mentioned that since. So I don't know if that's coming soon. There's not a lot of communication there, but that's a real bummer if you've got Thorn and you're waiting for it to get better. It's worse.
Yeah, I mean that's not the only gun too as well that they've mentioned that they're gonna buff or whatnot, but it's kind of scary to think we're gonna buff your gun, but then they nerf your gun a little bit and they're like, no, we didn't mean to do that. But speaking of bounties, the other big kind of change too is that you're no longer locked to 5 bounties. They've finally unlocked 10 bounties, so if you had 3 exotic bounties, you weren't screwed, and I can only pick up 2. So that's another big change.
Yeah, and it's one of those great, that's convenient. I'd love more vault space as well. If it's as easy as it is for the bounties, I'd expect a change like that to come down the line eventually.
Yeah, quality of life stuff. Definitely a lot of quality of life stuff. I guess another fun thing is this week's about to end, but the Nightfall was the Archon Priest, and they finally decided, hey, you can't go under that platform anymore. I tested it. They just, instead of, there's an invisible wall, like you can't walk through it. So there is still the cliff method apparently, so there's always going to be a cheese method, I guess, with these things.
With every boss there, it seems like there's a cheese method. They're eventually going to patch them one by one, but people will continue to find exploits, I'm sure. It was also surprising how large the patch was. It wasn't just a few kilobytes like you need to change values. They're adding a lot of content, including spaces and stuff for the Dark Below. So you could assume a lot of that content's now on your machine, even though you can't get to it until December 9th, a few weeks away.
I'm sure there's a lot of stuff. I'm sure internet's going to start blowing up with a lot of data mine stuff of just like people looking up what's going to be in Dark Below. I mean, that's in 3 weeks, so looking forward to that. I mean, I'm sure you are. You want that new content. We're going to get to do new stuff, so.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It was better off in the prison of Elden.